Hello. This fine fellow here is Robert Jenrick, Shadow Secretary of State for Justice, and as you will see in a minute, he's being all masculine and decisive. I mean, look, he's got that paper in his hand and he's slicing the air with it, and he's standing there in front of the Houses of Parliament. You know, there's Big Ben, so we know where he is while he's talking about how terrible it is that this man, this chap here, what's his name? Hamit Koskun, how terrible it is that Hamit Koskun, who burnt a Koran, is being prosecuted. And in a minute, I'll tell you all about the very strict letter he sent to Anthony Rogers, Chief Inspector of His Majesty's Crown Prosecution Service Inspectorate. That's a mouthful, isn't it? So let's hear what Robert Jenrick has to say. And all the time you're listening to him, you have to remember that the Conservatives were the people who constructed that Frankenstein monster of an online safety bill that's the direct cause of Mr. Koskun's present difficulties. But let's just hear what the Right Honourable Robert Jenrick has to say.
Earlier this year, I raised the case of a man who'd been arrested after a video emerged of him burning a Quran. Now here's an update. I've got hold of a copy of the legal proceedings against him, and he's just been charged with harassment, alarm or distress against the religious institution of Islam. Now, his lawyer says that it's a defective charge, it doesn't reflect the law, and that it's tantamount to blasphemy. Now, burning a Quran, like any religious text, is something that some people find very offensive, and few people would condone. But that's not the point. There are many things in our society that people find offensive, but that doesn't make them criminal. Parliament abolished blasphemy laws almost 20 years ago, and they were right to do so. It's not for the CPS or the courts to create a blasphemy law in this country by the back door.
So that's Robert Jenrick being all decisive about this and full of outrage at this assault on our liberties of free speech. And of course, as I said, hoping that we'd all forget that it was the Conservative Party that put in place the law that started all of this. The Online Safety Bill, nice name that, like the 1984 Ministry of Truth or Ministry of Love, or what was it? There was a Ministry of Peace. And there was a Ministry of Plenty as well, wasn't there? The direct opposite of everything, and they came up with the Online Safety Bill, which is exactly the same, the direct opposite. Well, Jenrick may think we're all too thick to remember, but I, for one, haven't forgotten, and I dare say a lot of you guys haven't forgotten either. I'm Granniopteryx. Please click the like for this video and the subscribe, and it does help if you also hit the notification button as well. In fact, people find their subscriptions have sort of evaporated, but the notifications stick around. You see, the problem is there are too many lawmakers making too many laws. And most of these people don't seem to know how to use English anymore either. So there are a lot of really badly written laws, which of course makes it worse. Some of you may recall a few years ago, Brittany Pettibone and Martin Sellner from the German political organisation or party called Alternative für Deutschland, which I think the German government is now trying to make illegal. Anyway, those two were coming here to Britain when they were detained by border control at Luton Airport, and they were denied entry. Now, I have a... Oh dear, I always manage to lose these things. Just a minute, I'm going to find it. Yeah, here it is. I'm leaving a link in the description to the video I made about it, because as you see, I go through the letter that was handed to her at the airport, telling her why she wasn't being allowed in. And you can see all those arrows. Believe me, that's only the major mistakes. That letter was an astonishing piece of, well, to call it semi-literate would be to give it a compliment. And now for a short commercial break on behalf of me. No, I'm not asking you for money, and I'm not asking you to buy anything. I'm asking you to subscribe if you aren't subscribed. And if you think you're subscribed, make sure that's really the case and that you haven't been ditched without your knowledge. Also, click the notification bell. That might help as well. Who knows? Anyway, that's it. Thank you for your attention, and back to the show. And what happened was somebody of very low intelligence and even less of a grasp of English just made up a rule that kept Pettibone and Sellner out of the country. And we've got this here. Policewoman stopped somebody who had, it turned out he had £1,000 of cash on him, and the policewoman, knowing there was a law about drug dealing and cash, started making up stuff.
Officer claims that carrying over £1,000 in cash is grounds for money laundering.
Listen, it's got to be a crime. Listen, I'm not arguing with you. Go on, you carry on. Carry on, yeah. Oh, I do. Oh, I do.
You don't have to have drugs on you.
Go look it up and you'll find yourself incorrect.
No, you were incorrect and you look very silly. I hope you show all your friends. I hope you post it on Facebook.
So stop waving your hands about. You might catch me in the eye.
I'm not going to catch you in the eye.
Or you're swinging your hands around. You're acting like a crazy lady.
When you go
you're
home,
acting like a crazy lady. You're acting like a crazy lady.
You don't know the law.
You don't know the law. You haven't got a clue what you're enforcing.
I've been
you
in
haven't
job
got a
17
clue.
years.
Yeah, you're enforcing policy. Enforcing policy which is against the law.
No, you don't know.
Oh, I do. Trust me.
Embarrassed when you find out.
Oh, you will be embarrassed when you find out.
The fact is that it's the policewoman who doesn't know the law. The black belt barrister went through the legality of it. I don't need to. All I have to say here is that the policewoman has the idea that carrying cash over £1,000 is suspicious enough to warrant confiscation and or arrest. And she's making the rest up. That's all. So the police are making this stuff up all the time. So let's have a look at this man here. His name is Hamid Koskun, and he burnt the Quran because he was protesting the murder of Salwan Momika, who also burnt the Quran and ended up being inadequately protected by the Swedish authorities and was gunned down in his own flat a few weeks ago. I made a video about that as well. Mr. Koskun said that his display was a protest against Recep Tayyip Erdogan, the Turkish president, and an act of solidarity. He was accusing Erdogan of turning Turkey into a fundamentalist Islamist state. And, of course, an act of solidarity with Salwan Momika, an Iraqi refugee who was assassinated in Sweden in January. Look, I'm talking about stuff here now. I have to say, this is going to... I think I'm going to try monetising this, but I'll probably be demonetised. So I want you... but I'm not going to pull what I'm saying just because of that. The Crown Prosecution Service started off by charging Hamid Koskun with intent to cause harassment, alarm or distress against the religious institution of Islam after burning a Quran outside the Turkish consulate in February. The National Secular Society told the CPS that this was not possible. You cannot cause harassment, alarm or distress to a religious institution. And this is what I mean about people who don't understand either the law or the language. So then the CPS has changed its wording. It's now told the Telegraph it charged Koskan on the basis that his actions caused harassment, alarm or distress to anyone, which is a criminal offence, and that this was motivated by hostility towards a religious or racial group. And there they're conflating religion, which is something you think of, and racial, which is an immutable characteristic. And you can see that the CPS just wanted to prosecute him, so they started making things up. There's a nice little bit of mealy-mouthed stuff here. As part of our continuous review of ongoing cases, we concluded the wording of the charge was incorrectly applied and substituted a new charge to more accurately reflect the alleged offence. Well, no, what they really should have said was, oops, we just messed it up because we don't understand English or the law, and now we've found something else. This new wording was from the Public Order Act. In the UK, Section 4A of the Public Order Act addresses intentional harassment, alarm or distress. And you see, the problem with that is it's entirely subjective. This section makes it an offence to use threatening, abusive or insulting words or behaviour or display threatening writing or signs. So you can't display threatening writing or signs if the intention is to cause harassment, alarm or distress to a person. Right, which is sort of interesting because of this that turned up on the internet only a couple of days ago. This woman here is, well, I'll let her speak for herself.
Yeah, you're murderers, aren't you?
Did you hear that? Satanic Zionists. So what do you do with anybody who's satanic? Well, you have to snuff them out, don't you? So I'd say that that would cause serious alarm or distress to any Zionists who happen to be going around. But are the police clamping down on that? No, because, as I say, what's happening to our legal system and our enforcement system is that everybody's making it up as they go along. And no amount of posturing by Robert Jenrick is going to change that. And it's here, he sent a very, here we are, a very strict letter to Mr. Rogers, the Chief Inspector of His Majesty's Crown Prosecution Service Inspectorate. And I think it's pretty obvious to all of us that when the police are, or the prosecution service are going after anyone causing harassment, alarm or distress, it's only going in one direction. And I think it probably would be more appropriate for the Right Honourable Robert Jenrick to talk about that. But of course, that is a hot potato that no party, apart from maybe Reform, is prepared to confront. Till next time. You can help my channel by subscribing and clicking the notification bell. That's quite important. And by sharing if you're so inclined. Links to my other channels and to donation methods are in the description. But the best way you can help is simply by clicking like and notify. Thank you.